I'm no stranger to the fact that there will always be a negativity in MMOs. I've been playing MMOs for about 20 years now. I would say I played MMOs longer than a couple of you who are alive watching this. To put it in short words, I just think this genre is fun. Now, if you thought that was my hot take, buckle up because it's gonna be a journey. I take it that many of you in the community isn't going to agree with what I have to say in the video, and that's perfectly fine. The title wouldn't have its name if there wasn't some kind of disagreement. This hot take is one that goes against a common idea I've seen being shared around a lot by multiple members of the Star Resonance community. It involves the separate release dates of China and global version of Star Resonance. So the main context is that China just dropped the full release date of Star Resonance for their region, which is July 17th. Normally, revealing the launch date of your game brings hype to it, but there are some people that are upset by this in the global region. Some people are upset because global and China do not share the same launch date. I've seen the complaints about it on Discord, YouTube, and Twitter. Braxophone, some of you might know him. He's a fairly large content creator that's interested in Star Resonance. He even made a YouTube video highlighting this as one of the biggest problems for this game. If we cut back to Twitter, the comments on Star Resonance posts will have people saying that the game is going to just die, like in Blue Protocol in Japan, solely due to a desynced release. Just most platforms you go on, it has people talking about it, which is why I made this video. And before I get attacked in the comments or DMs, I like to quickly point out that I'm not attacking Brax here. I do love what he does when it comes to presenting his experiences and issues with the game.
Here's the thing, if they don't release Star Resonance alongside Global at the same time, I can already tell you without a shadow of a doubt the game is going to be much less popular than if you do it at the same time.
We honestly need more people like that covering the game. I'm simply addressing the concern Brax and many people in the community are having with the desynced issues. Now, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I agree that a desynced release does suck, and I'll point out reasons later in this video why it does suck, but I do not agree that it's a huge deal breaker for the game in the big picture. That's my hot take, that a desynced release is bad, but it's not catastrophic, it's not horrible as people in the Star Resonance community are making it out to be. The bottom line for whether MMO with a desync launch survives or not typically revolves around its core features. Stuff like monetization, the combat, the endgame, the replayability, whatever, you know. It's usually a combination of several issues that ultimately burns a player out. When a MMO launches, then fails post-launch, you almost never hear someone complain that the main reason for the death of an MMO is due to the desynced release. Now let's go over some recent MMO blunders. Sword of Legends Online, or Solo, was EOS'd a couple years ago in Global. Nobody in that community blames it on a desynced release. It was due to a bunch of core elements and imports like translations of the game just falling flat. Then we have another example, which is Lost Ark. Almost no one is blaming that the main reason for the decline of the game's global branch is due to a desynced release. To be honest, it probably wouldn't have had the same explosive 1.3 million concurrent player base at launch if it released at the same time KR did back in 2018. The start of the game back in 2018 was horrible, and the game nearly died over at Korea until about 2 years later when the game was saved with their Tier 3 content release. There was a kind of popular private server that I played of Classic MapleStory this year called Arctale. Some of you might have seen me play it. It died in Global, but not a single person in the community said it was due to a desynced release. Crystal Atlan, a recent China MMO, is losing popularity over at Global, but you don't hear people like MTash, a popular content creator, saying the reason for it is due to a desynced release. I can keep going on and on and on with more modern examples that had desynced releases. Throne and Liberty, Aeon, Blade and Soul Neo, all of these MMOs lost popularity or died out due to the core problems of the game according to their active communities. If you want, you can do your own research on that. The correlation I'm getting at is that a desynced release does not matter in the long run. What truly decides the MMO's fate is what's inside of it, which is the gameplay, monetization, combat, etc. I just find it odd that some people in the Star Resonance community escalated this problem into something that isn't that big. Maybe the community just wants to stir the pot because there's really nothing much happening this whole month. Understandable. But Some people even went as far as saying that this was the main reason why Blue Protocol died in Japan, due to it not releasing on global. That comment I've seen being tossed around by multiple individuals made me kind of mad when I first read it, but now it just kind of stunlocks me a bit whenever I see it, and I'm just like, it is what it is, I guess. Those people are suggesting that Blue Protocol Japan would have been fine right now if the launch was synced. I want to know how long you guys played Blue Protocol Japan to have that kind of outrageous take. I'll take a gander and say that most of you never played Blue Protocol Japan, or played like the first month and thought the game had potential and then just stopped, or you just got banned. Let me just say, there is so much wrong with the game that I'm happy you guys never had to try out Blue Protocol Japan. It was a total disaster. There was pay to win items and their upgrades that you can only get through the cash shop gacha. The fights had almost no mechanics in it. You basically never had to use half the combat mechanics that were highlighted to be cool, like dodging or the plunge attack, because the whole game, everyone was just a tank with 100% damage reduction, so you just don't take any damage. Game-breaking bugs weren't fixed or even acknowledged for almost a whole year. You had bugs that crashed the game or froze all players or enemies in I'm getting kind of mad, in place that existed because the devs never saw it in their dev client, but their community kept mentioning it for months. There was no endgame content. Many of their existing content was bare bones and never improved upon since launch. I can keep rambling, and this video can possibly be double the runtime because I haven't even began to dig beneath the surface with the issues. But you can see why I find it crazy that people think releasing Blue Protocol Japan in global would have magically saved the game. It wouldn't. I don't see how that would work. You know, with all the games that I mentioned, they usually close their other branches first before their main reason. I guarantee you that Blue Protocol Japan in the global side would have shut down faster than Japan had it released at the same time. Literally would have done a any percent speed run to end of service. And if you don't believe me on how bad it was, just ask any veteran that has played from launch all the way to the shutdown announcement. With all that said, I don't believe there was an MMO that I know that died due to a desynced release. If you believe there was, let me know in the comments section below. I do believe most people just want the game to be released in global already, which is totally understandable. Again, let me tie back to what I said earlier. I still think a desynced release does come with downsides that suck. The meta, for example, would have already been solved, so people interested in theory crafting won't have much to test since most things would have been tested already. Another good point involves leaderboards. I can't remember the last time many people cared about first clearing content in a region that launched later than the main region. Normally, it's just people that played the first region coming over to the other regions just to flex how long they've played. Crystal Atlan is a big example here, where most of the people that first cleared the hardest content there is just people that played in the China region. In Lost Ark leaderboards, there were definitely people that played in KR that got advantage there before playing in global. You can see how boring that is for competitive players and actually devalues the achievement. Like for those that play Lost Ark, did you guys know that I got top 10 in a difficult raid leaderboard? Oh, you don't? Well, let's see. How about the teams that got first place? Do you remember most of them? That's what I'm talking about. Most people just not remember these moments because it's been devalued too much. Now, I do believe there are upsides to a desynced release, like the devs fixing issues that could cause the game to die. Like in Star Resident's case, the Imagine Gacha I said in the last video, the exploration, the life skills, all of these could be fixed by the time global launches and make the game a better experience. I think just keeping open mind and not worry too much on the desynced release dates is better. I'm not a white knight or someone that only glazes Star Residents. I gave Blue Protocol Japan a 4 out of 10, but Blue Protocol Star Residents a 7 out of 10. Star Residents has glaring issues that I pointed out numerous times. Issues like the Imagine Gacha should be the target to complain about rather than a desynced release. If we focus all of our concerns to core issues the devs can solve, then I think that the game would be in a much better state and much more fun in the long run. Anyways, once again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's pretty much it for my hot take. As for what I've been doing, just been focusing on behind the scenes stuff still and touching grass, playing some other games while also looking at stuff under NDA. Unfortunately, none of the hot take had NDA info factored into it. Videos and content from my YouTube and Twitch is going to start picking up as we get closer to the July 17th release. And with that, thanks for stopping by, like and sub to help this small YouTuber out, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.